In this video, I am going to rank all 6 live-action Bat stars, starting with number 6, and this will be from worst to best. George Clooney. George Clooney is absolutely gorgeous. He is a cool guy and a great actor. He is arguably the guy. However, he's not the Batman. Now, in the film Batman and Robin from 1997, 20 years ago now, can you believe? Or almost getting there. I remember going to see it in the cinema in, I think it was June or July 97, so I can't believe it's been nearly 20 years. Christ, how time flies. But anyways, there were a few moments in that film when, in the scenes with Alfred, he plays Bruce Wayne quite well, but apart from that, not much else going on. Number 5, now this is going to be a controversial pick for the 6 Days generation of fans, but I'm going to place Adam West at number 5. Now, I loved his Batman shows and spin-off film as a kid. I find them hilarious now and still enjoyable to watch, but I just like my Batman more darker. Number 4, I'm going to go with Val Kilmer, whom was the first Batman I saw in cinema. I was 7, 1995. I think Val Kilmer could have went on to become a great Batman if given the right script and the right direction. I think he was a bit weak as Bruce Wayne in some of the scenes, but the script was weak. When he says the word yikes and stuff like that, I'm like, that's kind of garbage script writing there. But towards the end, he was pretty damn good as Batman, I thought. Number 3, this will probably be another controversial one for the Nolan fans. I'm going to place Christian Bale at number 3. Yes, the one who's arguably the most popular Batman at the moment is my number 3 in this list. And he would have been number 1 a few years ago. In fact, you can probably find a video on YouTube where I call him my number 1. However, over time, I look back at Bale and I just think with that voice and I don't know, there's just something off-putting about his Batman. I think he peaked at Batman Begins, actually. I prefer him in that film compared to the other 2 films. He was a very solid Batman. The voice was horrible. And he was a very good Bruce Wayne, but I don't know, over time, I've gone off him a wee bit. He used to be my number 1 for a period, but now I'm not so convinced. I would like to see him return, but I'm not feeling him as the definitive Batman in the live action verse anymore. Number 2, Ben Affleck, who is creeping towards my number 1. I want to see more of him to make up my mind if he is the definitive Batman on screen. Now, Batman v Superman was a bad film. Suicide Squad was garbage, but he was like the gem of those 2 films, and he was great. I think he was better than Christian Bale. And Justice League, from what I've seen, looks really good, and he's a big reason why I think it looks really good, in some of the clips I've seen for it. And of course, number 1 was Michael Keaton. He was the Batman I grew up with. I feel like Michael Keaton is the Timothy Dalton of the Batman franchise. He's overlooked now and underappreciated, I feel. I just, when he hasn't got the suit on, he doesn't quite look the build to play Batman, but when he's got that suit on, I'm sold. He is completely badass, and he adds layers to Bruce Wayne's character, and he is my number 1 on this list. Now, if I were to compare and combine the other Batman actors with the Bond actors, I would say Adam West is the Roger Moore of the Batman franchise. Roger Moore, who was my personal favourite Bond, was arguably the most lighthearted of the Bond actors, and Adam West is the most lighthearted of the Batman actors. I just prefer my Batman to be more dark and serious compared to lighthearted. Whereas I love Roger Moore's Bond, even though he's arguably the most lighthearted out of the bunch. Val Kilmer I would compare to Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan he was a good Bond, but he could have been greater if the films and script were greater. Just like Val Kilmer could have been a great Batman if the films and script were better. Now, as for George Clooney, I can't really compare him to any of the Bonds because there hasn't been a bad Bond, really. So I can only really pair him up with George Lazenby, and the sole purpose they share the same first name. George Lazenby was probably my least favourite Bond, but he had his quirks. And he could fight. He could fight better than any of the Bond actors. Christian Bale, moody, realistic. Sounds like Daniel Craig's Bond films, moody and realistic. So I would definitely pair Christian Bale with Daniel Craig. And as far as Ben Affleck goes, well, there's only one Bond left, and that's Sean Connery. And some fans would argue Sean Connery is the most suited and best James Bond ever. And the Batman fans, some of them anyways, would argue that Ben Affleck is the best and most suited Batman ever. So, and it's hard to argue for, both. I just, as for Bond, I prefer more over Connery, but it is close. And it's the same with the Batman. But I do think that Ben Affleck will become my favourite and the definitive Batman on screen once I see the Justice League and once his solo Batman movie comes out, which I hope he's still in. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the 6 live-action Batman stars. Let me know in the comments below who is your favourite Batman of all time, and hell, let me know in the comments below who your favourite Bond is. Good night.